In the early 70s, amidst the turbulent waves of change, a voyage of hope set sail.
So in 1973, we boarded a ship called the Pendennis Castle with some crates with our possessions and a Land Rover.
Werner and Roswitha Groth, driven not by mere ambition, but by an unwavering commitment to a cause larger than themselves.
My parents were motivated by the care for the less fortunate people. So they were part of the Camphill movement in the UK. And then in the early 70s, they decided to move to Botswana.
Their destination, Camphill, a beacon of light for those with disabilities, where compassion and community intertwine.
Kitone sekolo ko Rankurumane ne go siama ka ne ke tsena teng ka go no bo go siama go na le tlhokomelo go na go te phakela a re go dira sele bo di compost bo di garden.
Their path led them to Otse, a humble village nestled amidst Botswana's highest peak, Otse Hill, and Manyalanong Hill, a home to the endangered Cape vultures.
Ke sone se go bo go tlhamiwa thulaganyo ye ya Camphill ba ibitsa Rankurumane. Gone ga go neng ga nitamiwa ga irua molao motheo o ne wa tshwanno go gore jaanong o gogele boeteledipele ka bontsi le bogosi bwa ga malete bo a ba tsena mo teng gore a re lebeng bana ba rona ba bana le ditlhaelo gore le bone ba kgone go tshela matshelo a na le seriti.
Because there was very little provision for children with particularly learning disabilities in the country at the time.
At the Gamalete freehold farm called Kwithiok, Dr. Kennedy from Bamalete Lutheran Hospital had previously used the old farmhouse as a clinic. When Werner and Roswitha arrived, seeking a place to start Camphill, Dr. Kennedy advised them to approach the chief about using the site.
And he said, why don't you speak to Khosi Yabamalete, Khosi Kelemukhile Mokhosi, who owns that farm. The Bamalete owned the farm. They bought it from the farmer who was here before.
In the early 60s, through the concerted efforts of Balete, the farm Kwithiok was bought from the Pagrin family.
Khosi Mokhosi wa boraro ileng re a ra morafi gore a re koleke mpolasi ke ile ya rekisiwa.
The part that we are using for Camphill is about 12 hectares in size, which was just a very small part of the farm. It was a very big cattle farm, which extends, much further to the west from here.
Now, after being given a green light by Khosi Kelemukhile Mokhosi, the founders of Camphill in Botswana began their journey of inclusivity and community life.
Bogosi no go sna ka bokasalla ko morago ka gore ne le bangwe ba ba iteledipele ba ne bana le dikitso ka batho ba bone le ditlhaelo tsa bone.
Balete bana ba amogela Camphill ka gotlhe bana ba rata gore Camphill ne teng.
Tota nna le ina la ga Rankurumane tota la ntla ga ke itse sentle go ne di simola go tukema ke itse hela gore go no gona le monna wa leburu a ke tsora ke bua sentle wa lekgowa something like that. Mme ke ene o ne e le monga polasi ye pele Camphill a sa tle go nna mo teng.
Mme ke tsore ne le motho a setsa go dile ke sone se batho ba ba fo ne ba mmitsa jalo e le nickname go te Rankurumane. Ke sone se lina le bileng la kgomarela polasi go te kwa ga Rankurumane.
Rankurumane School, established as the first within Camphill, Botswana in 1974 with just 4 children, has grown significantly over 50 years and currently has 62 children enrolled.
Camphill is an organization that provides education and training for children and young adults with special needs.
Ke sekolo sa nako ke gore ke tseng teng ke ikgethele sekolo sa bana ba ba dijara tsa 5 years to 12-13 years.
And then we also have learners that are admitted in Motswabadiri from 14 years upwards.
Here, amidst the rhythms of agricultural life, lies potential for change, for growth, and for a brighter future.
When I first encountered Camphill was in 2017, 2018, and I immediately recognized this is permaculture, this is biodynamics, this is integrated organic systems. And so that was very exciting to me because it was the first time that I saw in Botswana established examples of some of the principles that I had been working with and studying with myself, but obviously these were now examples that were 20, 30, 40 years old and established.
Camphill stewardship of nature is an integral part of the holistic curriculum, ensuring they produce more on the land while preserving its integrity and avoiding the use of harmful chemicals.
The soil community, the soil biome, is the alpha and omega of plant fertility and animal fertility, and therefore human fertility and health.
Go a lemiwa dinamune tsa rona ga go dirisiwe ditšhefi. Merogo ya rona is organic, re dirisa compost.
Re meletse thata mo organic, and compost ke yone hela e leng gore ra e dirisa go nonofa mmu wa rona o.
I tried to bring the focus to soil and understanding how soil works, how fertility works at the soil level, and how everything else, all other management choices, should always be referred back to soil health. So whenever you're choosing between 2 or 3 different methods for how to do something on the farm, always a consideration should be how does that impact long-term soil health.
The Camphill Community Trust embraces the world of school curriculum, a unique educational philosophy initiated by Rudolf Steiner over a century ago.
And particularly when that is applied to children with learning difficulties, it focuses, it's a very broad approach to education. So it's not just focusing on academic, intellectual kind of subjects. It works a lot with artistic activities, painting and drawing and movement, dance, singing, music.
Research indicates that learning through activities enhances cognitive development and overall health by fostering critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and improved body function. Within this curriculum, there is a program called Eurythmy, which is integral to supporting the learning framework of the Camphill Community Trust.
The EU Eurythmy or well. So the well, then what are the rhythm? Hello. So it's eurythm and or our well rhythm, harmonious rhythm. Hello. It's expressive movement. They combine the elements tsa music, the elements tsa speech, lo ne rhythm hela jaaka ntse jalo.
Beyond primary education at Rangoromani School, learners enroll in a 4-year program under Motswabadiri training, focusing on personal and social development, functional skills, and vocational skills in horticulture, catering and hospitality, and retail, wholesale, and packaging.
And then there's an additional part to it, which is supporting a person once they've graduated to find a place in their own community, to find an inclusive livelihood in their own community. So that's the additional part.
The course is called Integrated Learning for Living and Work Program because it's designed not only to equip learners with job-related skills, but also to enhance their personal and social qualities.
One of the challenges often with people with special learning needs when they're teenagers and becoming young adults is that they face a lot of abuse in the community. And that can be in the form of sexual abuse or other forms of abuse as well. So quite a large part of what we do is to give them the experience and the confidence to be able to address issues of abuse and to know how to develop healthy and safe relationships with people.
Dilo tse ka bontsi le atekeng le go ithuta atekeng dipalo le madi gore ha ela re hetsa sekolo re kgone go itse gore madi a o se ke bokae re ha re tsena go dishopong re itse gore go beile theke re itse gore theke ele e kwadile bokae le go atekeng le go bala le go kwala.
Nna ke subject e ke ratang thata mo tsa ke computer lesson. Ke rata dilo tsa di internet tota ha ile ha ke etsa sekolo ne ke batla go bula internet cafe. Yeah. Gona dilo tse ke di ithutang mo tse like go dirisa internet go harolana ka gone le go type go ira dilo tse di harolaganeng hela.
Social enterprises provide real-world business environments in which vocational learning can take place and also provide income to the community.
We've got conferencing facilities. We've got a tea garden, which is now becoming a restaurant. And we also have our orchard, where we produce oranges. We have our vegetable gardens, where we produce fresh herbs and other vegetables.
Since its inception, Camphill Community Trust has evolved, developing a curriculum aligned with the government's educational approach, particularly in vocational training and special education.
That is something that has developed also and been worked on over the last 50 years. Obviously it's not the same as it was to start with, although there are common threads that run through from the time we began.
Kana ha o dira thuto wa ntse o e tlhatlhoba utlwa mo di stakeholder tsa gago gore ba re ba bona eng ba hirile bona gore ba eletsa eng.
Yeah, I mean also within the Ministry of Education the approach to special education is something that's constantly under review, and we are part of the committees and the meetings that are working on developing special education curriculum.
Up until 2010, Camphill Community Trust consistently sought to create employment for its graduates. However, there came a time when it was no longer sustainable to absorb all graduates into the institution.
We did a consultancy with somebody who came in and did some research with the people with special needs who were then at Motsi Wabadiri to ask them about the kind of lives that they wanted to live. And what a lot of them were saying was that they wanted to become employed in their home communities. They wanted to be more connected to the communities in which they'd grown up, and they wanted to be more connected to their families.
As a remedy to the growing number of skilled graduates in various vocations, a transition support program was introduced to help graduates find employment or other sustainable livelihoods within their communities.
Pakelela ke tsenela ke tshwantse gore ke make sure ke ha composting ke tse thulusi tse ke yang go di dirisa a ke etsa ka tsone be ke di tlhatswa ke di busetsa ko store go di nnente.
It also became evident that having learners as close as possible to their families provided significant social and psychological benefits.
You know, the connection between the child or the young person and their home, their family, their local community is really important to maintain that connection. And so if it's at all possible, we prefer a child to be living at home with their parents.
Paska ba rula batsadi boikarabelo bo go godisa bana ba bone gore ba gole le bone ka gore yanong bana ga ba tlhokisiwa lerato ba santse ba le banyenyana ga kokwa itse gore mo go goleng ga bone ya go hella le batho ba bantseng jang ba timile lerato lo la go golela ha tlase ga motsadi wa bone.
Within this community, the Health and Wellness Department provides crucial support to the organization in areas related to health and wellness.
We have a social worker and physiotherapist and other specialists in that department.
Re na le senior learning coach yo leng gore o bereka le bana ba di high support needs. Nurse social worker ke thusa bana ka ha di hosteleng ke lebile welfare ya bana ke nna ke neelang bana support ke ba neela counseling le sepehela se leng gore se ka ba kgoreletsa gore ba kgone go tsena school.
So my part, I work on rehabilitation on learners with disabilities. So the teachers assess learners who needs rehabilitation or who needs physiotherapy. So when they identify a learner with a challenge or disability, they refer to me. Then I will do an assessment, assess what challenges the learner is having. Then upon assessing, I'll make a treatment plan.
After 5 decades of ongoing evolution and community life, Camphill Community Trust reflects with joy, reminiscing about their pioneering role in special education in Botswana and their continued success.
And we believe in partnering and collaborating with like-minded entities to make a meaningful impact. Part of this being employment creation, improving education and health outcomes.
The teachers and attendants of this institution deserve encouragement. Let's give them a big round of applause.
The transition program has, from 2013, managed to assist 210 learners to transition. We applaud the employers who have taken up the graduates from Motswabadi, Pick and Pay, Landscape Masters, Trade Mile, Trans-Africa, Flowtech, Choppies, just to mention but a few.
Ke berekile mo Rankoromane e sena se go sena sepe go tlelele go ne go na le matlo a le mararo e leng ke tona ene e bidiwang Rankoromane le matlo a le mabedi a ne ra fitlhela foo ka ne go thibelelwa.
And there was myself, Agas, Anna Barkley from England, Dolores Schwartz, who was a Mennonite volunteer, who came latterly, Henry Drew, who was from the same school as myself, and that was kind of it, with Mama Nini and Tigogo and my charity as the key workers that I seem to recall, and with 6 children.
Kota ga go re ra go re thusitse thata mo lefatsheng la Botswana ka lerato a kgobokanya bana ba Botswana ka ba gologolo gongwe fela gore ba ithute ka ne le bana ke bana ba ba tlhaelang dio tse dintsi mo botshelong.
The best day, the day that I most precisely remember was in the rainy season, and the rain came and we were watching. I can't remember the name of the mountain, but it was shaped like a woman on her back. It was a spiritual mountain, and we were just sat there in shorts and a t-shirt, just looking at this torrential rain.
Me ne rapa dijo tse di jwang ke bana tse ba ntseng ba tla ba di tlwaetse ko magaeng. Nna ke dinosi ne ke sa rate gore bana ga ba tsena ko gae bebe ba itse gore ko Camphill re ja rice letsatsi le letsatsi ke ba gana go ja bogobe ka morogo wa Setswana. Ne go sa nne jalo ne re ja hela dimokurathi mo tafoleng e le ngo fela le bana dijo tsone tse ba ra gurathi ba ja dijo tsone tse rice ne ya apewa go apewa se go ape di fetolwa hela jaaka di tshwana go gore di fetolwa ka malatsi.
We didn't have running water at that time, so we used to have to go across to the road depot to go and collect water in buckets. And with this supply here, you had to have a cloth to try and hold the bucket. And initially it would be, it wasn't easy to learn, but I got there.
We started with just the family, and then we employed a few people from the village who came to help with cooking and with cleaning.
And I remember from that time, we didn't know a word of Setswana, so we were having to learn Setswana as quickly as possible so that we could communicate.
In the early days of Camphill, self-sustainability was a cornerstone of its philosophy. The furniture workshop, which began as a small operation to meet the school needs, soon blossomed due to the increasing outside demands.
Camphill Furniture started way back. Probably we came in 74, so it probably started around 75, 76 as a means of earning money to support the school.
Ne re na le workshop e re ne re beta ditilo le ditafole le dithoe tse re tshamekang ka tsone le di-abacus. Bontsi ya di-abacus tse ne di diriswa mo di-primary schools ne di dirwa ko Rankoromane. Kgaolo ya ga Malete e be e reka gone ko.
When people saw that furniture made with solid pine, people said, "Oh, this is a solid furniture. Can we also buy it?" So we started making more and more of that furniture.
So there were tables, chairs, beds, but then we went into making bunk beds, we went into making couches, we went into making sideboards, room dividers, all sorts of other. We added to the product range a lot.
And that furniture production, it grew to become quite a big thing. That was in the 80s and the 90s. Became quite a big part of Camphill. I think at one point we maybe had about 50 people working there.
Na ke simolla go bereka teng tota ga ke simolla ka go betla furniture ke simolotse ko ne re furniture ke ko furniture yang re betla furniture ba ruta go dira furniture go tswa hela go stilong go go bolaong le go mpieno ka nthari go direle bolao kana o drop kana ke a di go direla tsa mabono tse di thata ka gore ne re disa le go le go tempaine teng.
The quality of the workshop's production was exceptional, and the community warmly embraced these efforts.
People still compliment me on Camphill Furniture.
So we became quite well known for Camphill Furniture. In fact, I think you'll probably find there are people around in Gaborone who know Camphill Furniture who might not even be quite clear as to what Camphill's main purpose is.
Remarkably, Camphill itself and some institutions like the SOS Children's Village in Tlokweng still use much of the furniture made in those early years.
There are still people who bought from us way back who are still using our beds, our tables, chairs.
I still have chests of drawers made in the 1980s. My bed is the original Camphill bed.
mala wa rona ko Camphill na bidiwa gote ne ra bitsa ka motso wa gote ne le di otsebedi le ditilo go na le tilo tse go teng di otse che gore ne re bitsa ka maina a di otsa mo gaela kana wena ha o producer sengwe hela o di design tla be se bidiwa ka wena.
From the very beginning, when we started here, we were producing things for sale. The first stages of that, we had a textile workshop where we did batik and tie-dye and made textiles for sale.
Alongside this, other enterprises such as knitting, gardening, orchards and pottery contributed to the community's growth and self-reliance.
The project coordinator ka nako eo o na kgona go buisanya le rona mme gongwe a ba ka kopa gore go dire palo e rileng ya dikopi e be ka ya go dirisiwa ke baithuti. Restaurant ya Camphill ka nako eo bone ne ba reka mo go rona
e re ga go nwa ha tse go bona gore ke mang o ka tsang task e thata ya batho ba ba 500 ne go itse gore ke a etsa mme ke sa bereke ka staff se sentsi. You can't believe me ke gore ke di president so sotlhe ke di apetse gone hale kana ne le go ikgodisa le go bontsha batho ba le gore here I am re teng mme re kgona gore ga o na le passion o rata dio tse dingwe di nna motlhofo.
The milling workshop, established to provide sorghum milling products, also became a vital service, benefiting both Camphill and the local community.
Ne le gore go rekwa bogobe kuno ne go bidiwa bone motso a badiri ya nang ka tsela ntseng jalo ke kopane le one motso a badiri ka yone tsela ntseng jalo le gore nne ba re thusa ka ditlamelo tsone tsa bo go sila jalo e batho ba nne ba sila tota bogobe o monate ba busitse botswerere thata.
Motse wa Badire Training, established in 1988, formed a couple of these income-generating projects like the milling service, knitting workshop, the nursery and others, which were vital for learners.
Tota maikelo a go tlhama motse wa badiri ne le gore re batlele bana le bogole ditiro ka no go sena go ba ka dirang teng ya no ra simolla ya lo ra dira tshilo ke one gore tle e tsenyetse madi e be re tsaya mona le bogolo a ntlha a tswa go gara motswa e bong le bogeng mo disane e be re nna le tsaba bangwe jalo ba nna ka nna sikisi.
You know, whether you are physically challenged or mentally challenged, you need to be given a sense of purpose, or you need to develop a sense of purpose. And the way to do that is through meaningful work.
Camphill has always thrived on the passion and dedication of its staff.
Ne ke rata thata gore ne le gone ke kopanang le yone mme ke itile ka e tshwara ka bonako dinaka tsena ne di rekiwa ko lobatse ko BMC ne re reka saka hele tona tsentse dinaka tsa dikgomo re tla go betla ka tsone ha di hela re boa kana ne di rekwa thata ne gona le craft shop o teng ka ene gore tswa ditsone di utse go yone dinaka maseka everything.
However, in an ever-changing environment, Camphill faced increasing external competition, necessitating constant reviews of its priorities to stay true to its mission and vision. This sometimes meant reconsidering and even closing down valuable enterprises like the furniture workshop and milling services.
Ha anong go nna le proliferation ya dio tsene di tswa ko ntle e be go ra gore it became cheaper for customers gore ba reke kopi ya 2 pula e nna gongwe ka nako e ke ne ke je sa 15 pula because it's an artistic piece compared to a mass production e dirilweng go China. So those were the challenges e be di simolla go gatella ditirelo tsa pottery ka tsela ntseng jalo.
Part of the problem was the competition and trying to compete with the prices of other furniture stores.
All these furniture shops opened in Botswana and they offered hire purchase. So more and more of our customers would then say, oh, can I pay monthly instead of buying cash? So Camphill, because we never had the financial resource to be able to offer hire purchase, the sales started dropping.
But another aspect to Camphill furniture was that we could no longer really sustain our idea of training learners within that workshop, because it was a production workshop of, producing furniture with equipment, machines, etc. It wasn't an ideal training place for the learners.
Through all these changes, Camphill's commitment to self-sustainability and community spirit has remained unwavering, adapting to new challenges while honoring its rich legacy.
Now, one quality that Camphill has always had, but that has grown ever since we started, is resilience. The ability to adapt and to change and to find new opportunities, and also to be able to let go of things when it's time to let go of things.
This community has always found a way to instill the spirit of volunteerism among everyone involved. It is the same work ethic that has encouraged workers to go the extra mile and do beyond what they were employed to do.
Camphill Community. That is about, I think, early 1976 or so, 77. That's when I ended up joining.
Ke ne ka heta ka tsaya boitsana pejame jwa booki ka simolola gore ke ne le clinic nyana no ke otara melemo ke ka tetlelelo ya ministry.
As a principal at Rankoromane School and a nurse by profession, Betty Mpudi found herself moved to lead by example in the spirit of volunteerism. Ensuring the health of everyone in the community was always in check was just as important to her as her role as principal.
Ke tlhatlhoba bana mo malwetsinyaneng a ka ba tlhasela ke le go bana ba di direngweme di kwa batse ke bolela gore di nyelele ba dire jang bo mba house mothers.
Botsholo ba tenne le ba molapeng bo monate. Ne re tsoga phakela re na le bone ba na le bogole ra ba tlhapisa ra ba thusa go alolla go tlhapisa not necessarily mean jaaka ngwana o monyenyane go gore o mo ruta ka go itirela go ra khone go nna sentla ka gore ne re rutiwa jalo ke ene mohumagadi Magrowth.
Even the house mothers ne ke ba tlhokomela ka botsogo ja bone ke ira training ya the house mothers ke ba trainer tota ka control of infections.
Mme kana ko yo bogologolo bo botshelo ne le ba family re nna go go hela.
During those early years, Julia began as a house mother. However, like many at Camphill, her spirit of volunteerism propelled her forward. She would later become a teacher, co-founder of Motsowabadiri Training, and ultimately the principal at Rankoromane School.
And o ka ipotsa gore rutwa le njane ne go nna le dilo tse go teng evening training o ra ona mantsibwa re sna na re bona gore ba robetse ba rapetse re ba robaditse re tsana hela mo teng ga yone sitting room ye gore re ne re thetse ga go nna le any disturbance re be re rutwa ke Magrowth le monna ga re be re itse gore gate go tlhokomelwa bana ba jang.
Almost everyone who has found themselves in Camphill showed similar dedication and love for this wonderful community.
Ne ka nna mokgweetsi gape teng gore furniture ena ne ke tsa mono ke deliver go shopong go ga borona ga ke tsena go ga borona ke deliver mo di customereng gongwe le gongwe go di rekang di le teng ga motho a re maung ka le bo mangwe tse tle ra go boa teng re isa furniture go maung ga ke tswa ke gore ga koloi ena ke tsena mo shop ke a betle nako e ke sang go deliver gore ya none ke bereka tiro tse pedi
mme le ditlhare tse le tsa dinamontse o di bonang ne re di jwala le rona kore tiro e mo Camphill ya go nosetsa ya eng we were home, we were just home, and we were working hand in hand go sa twe o dueletswe se o bereka ha, and it was coming out of you o sa patele dijo.
This nurturing environment was crucial in driving the community's multifaceted approach to learning and living.
Ne re itumetse thata ka gore ne re simolola go bereka la re tla go amogela madi a none ka gore simolotse re amogela 15 rand ena e ne le madi a mantsi thata nako ya teng. Re simolola go apara yaanong re ithekela diaparo mme hela kana bogologolo ne re ga o simolola go theola e be go te madi a ntlha ke a pay ya ntlha ke a batsadi go ra 15 rand re isa go batsading ba re ha ma 5 rand mme ma 5 rand a o ne ne le madi ka na ra pesa go tswa go tlatse go godimo botshelo ne go santse bo le monate.
1986 yaanong kana Camphill le one godile go setse go agiwa mantlo ke ale go bidiwa ko Phatsimo bana ba ntse ba tsena Botswana is realizing go na le sekolo serodumo sa Camphill se ya go godimo batsadi ba tla di social worker di tlisa bana go agiwa the house called Phatsimo.
Around about that time, the government were seeing what we were doing and were encouraging what we did. And they also came and said, look, you know, you have 12 children here and that's great, but what about you taking some more children? Could you not have 20, maybe 30 children coming to your school? Because there are many more children who need this education. And so from that time, the government started to contribute to the running costs of the school with an annual grant. It was also the time when the Botswana Council for the Disabled was started up and became a means through which the government supported this and other NGOs that were providing services for people with disability with annual grants which were distributed through the BCD.
The government started this support in the mid-1980s, but a few years prior to that, the community had started blossoming. More and more learners came in, and so the financial demands increased as well.
Leone environment ya go tsenya bana mo di hosteleng yana was becoming cumbersome.
As a result of these growing demands, Camphill decided to stretch its outreach to other villages by opening special units there.
Ditso tsa thuto go tswa di supa gore e simolotswe ke Camphill Community Trust. Ha moragonyana ha le ka ngwaga tsa bo 1980, in particular I think 1981.
Go butse sekolo go ga boroni di bidiwa bo thuto boswa go butse sekolo go Ramotswa ntse se bidiwa thuto boswa le sone se sengwe se le go Thamaga se sengwe se le go Serowe a ba dinela di council e be na di special education units tsa ntlha mo Botswana di simolotswe ke Mmema Growth le Rre Growth mo Botswana.
Me ha o lebella ditso tsa Camphill yone hela ka bo yone go a bona le gore mo Botswana ke nngwe ya makalana a ileng gore tota hela a ne a eteletse pele go leka gore bana le bogole ba tlamele ka ditsela tse di harologaneng. That's why gongwe re ne re iphitlhela ba simolla makalana a tshwana le one Thuto Boswa Rehabilitation Center.
Over the years, Camphill has had to work smart to keep up with the financial demands of running the school.
The oranges do very well. We usually make between 120 and 150,000 a year on orange sales, and the inputs, the costs associated with that are quite low.
At some point, the role of the government and donors proved critical as the running costs became more challenging.
A lot of the challenges came down to financial challenges. We didn't have an easy source of income. The model was that we had productive workshops that were operating within Camphill that were trying to make a profit.
But when those workshops closed down, it was now imminent that the government grants, donor contributions and other commercial activities within the school remain to cover the recurrent costs of Camphill.
We've had a lot of support from many different organizations over the 50 years.
Organizations like PG Timbers, FNB Botswana, Lady Khama Charitable Trust, Botswana, Diaraf, and many others have supported the school at one point or the other with various donations.
Government subventions haven't increased for the past 8 years. So this has put incredible pressure on us as an organization, because we are, first of all, you're unable to grow as an organization. And secondly, it puts severe restrictions on your spending because costs are going up, but your income is not going up.
And that's something we've been having to work with over the last 7 years, to try to see how do we carry on, how do we maintain, financial sustainability with effectively a shrinking contribution from government.
The Parents-Teacher Association is greatly involved in the running of the school, playing a crucial role in fostering a supportive and collaborative environment.
Batsadi mo sekolong se ke dumela gore ba tsewa tsia gore they play a role e leng gore ba feel gore ke di-partnera hela tse di tsa popota mo tsamaiso ya sekolo.
Kore go thusa mona le bogole le bararo kore ke ngwana o na le bogole ke mother ko ena teacher. So le tshwantse re utlwane gore ngwana o a tla kgone a cope sentle.
The parents don't just take part in the learning environment. They also provide support by initiating and participating in school activities.
Re na le calendar jana ya ditiro di pehela a ke tse di ka kwanya madi a ke tse di family fund day ke tse re itutang di teng tsotlhe calendar ya tso.
As a way of supporting the school's financial needs, the PTA has organized various fundraising activities, including a Culture Day held in May 2024 under the theme Our Heritage, Our Way.
Ngwao ina le botho kana setho kana popego ya gago ka fa o godileng kwa teng ka fa o godisiwang ka teng ka methale e farologaneng ya gore o motho o tswa ko kae o le mokae ya ga motho gore le se leng sone
tota thata ne re batla go kwanya madi mme re batla go ruta le bana re ba kgabiseng re te go thola le bone ya ka tsatsi la gompieno.
Camphill batla go akukae tiro a yone ke body na le maikarabelo through its director and his team go bona gore the mandate wa Camphill o reachiwa out.
As a trust, Camphill is governed by a board of trustees who perform their duties on a voluntary basis, driving the institution through various board committees.
Ke belonga to a committee go teng education, health and wellness go bona gore a curriculum e Camphill re nya e delivera ya in line le se goromento a Botswana ba tang gore ngwana Motswana go turutegile ka sa attain.
A dynamic and vibrant young institution, Camphill has expressed its vision through its work over the last 50 years, significantly transforming the educational and economic landscape of Otse and Botswana as a whole. Currently employing 120 people, it continues to thrive.
It's an evolving organization that it never sits still. There's always change coming, new projects.
A couple of major projects are currently underway, including enhancements to the institution's sanitation system and the revitalization of the Orchard Tea Garden restaurant.
We also look forward to growing. We are increasing our staff. We are going to be having an executive chef who will be preparing our world-class meals.
And we are looking at new areas of growth that we are exploring at the moment, moving into developing a capacity to not just provide education for children and learners within the place, but to support training for teaching support staff in particular throughout the country and maybe even beyond.
Debelela sila la gaila aelele mama